G'day everyone, I'm Ben from Catch Pro Australia and this is Lawn Care Skull Sessions, the most unprofessional podcast in the world.
Yeah.
And here's my co-host, the bearded lawnsman.
Buska.
How you going, pal?
Yeah, good mate. A little bit slower on my feet than usual.
And me too.
Yeah.
You had, called me and said, geez, I've hurt me back, I've copped a stinger. And I don't even know what happened to me, man. Like I think I just feel worse from being at the chiro, which they said will be the case for 24 hours or 48 hours or so. But I sort of feel like I've been hit by a truck.
Mate, a stinger is probably the best way to fucking brand it, hey, because it just came out of nowhere. Now, yours is obviously you've hurt your back in the past and you've always got these issues that you're trying to work out. Mine came from putting on pants, so yes, one leg went in sweet and then the next leg did not, and it just went pop. And I fell down in front of my children in my underpants. My wife was flopping around like a fucking fish out of water.
Mine showed in my video last night that I put on LMCA with the Greenworks. I was just sitting in the office chair and I was just thrashed and I was like, man, and I was like, oh, I better get up.
Oh, dude.
So,
oh, man.
So, quickly speaking of the Greenworks vid, so, Gary Harvey, the rep, dropped off a bunch of stuff, so I should have it for about a week or two, which would be cool. There's not tons of grass around at the moment.
Yeah.
We'll do, I'll do as much as I can trying to feel out the actual product. But I tell you what, first impressions, right? Now this is just first impressions. The build looks excellent.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
It's beefy, there's beefy welds, all of that stuff. But if anyone is following Catch Pro, we will go on to, release, other bits of info. Maybe show it in action. The rep has also agreed to do a sit down with us.
Oh, nice.
And I think it's important to try and sort of do that ASAP.
Yeah.
So he's going to be away. He's going interstate, then he's going overseas. So it's going to take a minute to get there. Anyway.
Yeah.
Quick little bit of news.
Yeah.
We'd like to welcome Mower Merch onto the Skull Sessions as an official sponsor. So, essentially, we're going to be plugging away at our good mate Will from Rosebud.
Yeah.
And they got some really cool stuff over there. So if you haven't been to the website yet, make sure you check it out, mowermerch.com. It's a very fitting sponsor for us, obviously, because he's our mate.
That's it.
And because, that he's the type of guy and type of business where he is really just moving in that right direction.
Yeah. To
have your belts and your blades and your,
service kits.
All your Kawasaki stuff, like he's got all of that stuff on the website. Just stupid little things too, like, if the throttle cable spring goes.
Yeah. No, it's also even the little star nuts that you put on to keep your covers on.
Yeah.
I got a couple of those. I lost one and fucking just got a sparesies on board. So. And
instead of look, I know how this sounds about supporting local deals and stuff, but you're sitting back at night and you're just surfing the web for something that you need for work while it's on your mind. Yeah. You can just grab that then and there.
That's it. Like I'm out and about all day and it won't be until I put my ass on the couch at night and I'm like, oh fuck, I forgot to go and see fucking Greg at Capella for a bloody litre of oil or some shit.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that we're really happy to have him on board. He's a good dude. He's a pretty funny character, and he's coming up for my event. He told me last night, he sent me a message, so he'll be here. I hope he's going to be repping Mower Merch. I don't know if he's just coming up to play or if he'll bring his whole family up for a big drive. That's a really big drive that way.
Is he driving or?
I don't know.
No, he's flying.
His dad lives around the corner from me, so hopefully. But no, it's awesome, man. I'm really happy to have him on board. He's a skag dealer, so it's always been good to me. I can ring him and ask him questions.
Yeah, and that's something else I was going to mention. So not only does he have like awesome t-shirts and other merchandise as well, but he's just a dude, like you can reach out to him on Facebook Messenger, or probably through the website is more appropriate. But at the same time, if you are in that community, you sort of can reach out and be like, hey,
that's it.
Can we touch base on this, and he'll get you going. So
normally, if someone messages me about anything skag, and I'm like, that's a bit too technical for me, I'll say you might want to reach out to William Hartford or Scotty Osborne. They're my two go-tos.
But just to reiterate, like this is in regards to every brand, not just skag.
Yep.
So if you're looking for a bloody spindle housing for a Hustler or Gravely, he's got access to all the aftermarket parts. And look, his postage is on point. I know there's some companies out there that a lot of people have had dealings with where they seem to take a while, and then all of a sudden the parts aren't there, and then all of a sudden you can't get a refund. So Will's been, like, everything I bought from Will has come really fast, and it's been valuable. So, and just even from a business point of view, like Catch Pro and Mole Merch, like our real end goals is to sort of be the suppliers for your aftermarket parts and your products and accessories.
Yeah.
So that's where it's very fitting. Now we have today a fair bit to unpack.
It's a lot. Again, this is the second time we've done this kind of episode.
Yeah, we've got an interactive episode with the LMCA crew.
Yeah.
And now I haven't looked through this thread.
No, I had a squeeze when it first went up.
I've had a squeeze when comments have come through and, just said like, oh, that's a good one or whatever. Yeah. So it probably is going to be a long episode. We're probably going to try and filter out some of the nonsense.
Yeah, excuse me while I take my jumper off.
Are you hot?
Yeah, look, I've had a lot of caffeine this morning and a lot of painkillers, so...
Yeah.
I'm jacked.
Did you snort any... You don't snort your pain relief, do you?
With my asshole I do.
Yeah, sure.
Straight in the bloodstream. Jesus, what I did find out when I hurt my back is how incredibly well I hide my weight. Now, most people, I asked everyone this question. I'm like, how much do you think I weigh? How much do you think I weigh? And everyone's like, 120, 110, something like that. And I'm like, fuck, I wish I was like a fly shit off 150 kilos, and I almost fucking cried. I was like, that's the heaviest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, I've
had a rough through a couple of months, but that's no excuse. So unfortunately, I started a hell kick 2 weeks ago, so I'm off sugar and all that sort of shit. But goddamn, this has made me want a fucking quarter pounder for sure.
You should start smoking, dude.
You reckon?
Yeah, because then...
Smoking ice. That'll fucking drop the weight real quick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've got to look after ourselves, and I'm no role model.
Yeah, no wonder me back's fucking giving me a bit of grief. Sick of fucking carrying me. That's 8.
Maybe it's lugging around that Skag 30.
Nah, fuck no.
That thing would break my back. I'm not fit for that rig.
That's why the boys have got the Skag 30. Rob's going to send me some caster kits for it, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, so that's awesome.
Still trying to find out where to put the batteries in that thing though.
Fucking, the battery one is it's ready to rock, I think. So it'll be interesting to see.
I think they're just waiting to see how that one goes.
Yeah.
And it smart play. But I mean, I'm just digging all this battery stuff. It's just so good.
The funny thing is, when you look at the battery stuff, and then you compare it to the petrol stuff, and everyone's like, think of the weight. All your battery models are heavier than your push motors that run petrol. So when people come up with this whole weight issue, when you're running a self-propelled, I really don't think it's
a huge
issue unless you're lifting the fucking thing off the back of a ute.
Well, I mean,
You used to lift all your push mowers on and off the back of your ute.
Yeah. And I would really recommend no one
Not
ever
to.
don't ever lift a self-propelled. I remember I did that for a while. I was lifting self-propelleds for a while.
Yeah, I used to lift the bushy around a bit, but
And it's dumb as fuck.
oh,
So
it'll loosen your colon, that's for sure.
all right, so today's episode is it's an Ask Us Anything. So you had the opportunity to literally ask us, about our personal life, business, products related, anything. So we're going to kick it off with a little bit of banter. Now, there's a fair bit of banter in this thread. But Gary Harvey, who is the rep for Greenworks, he did want to know, how is little BJ recovering from the snippy snip?
Perfectly fine. It's a weird thing because it's very, hands-on. And not only that, is the guy that we went to, my wife was allowed to come in. She could have videoed the whole thing, and she got a few shots that I don't want on my phone because they're pretty fucking, I don't want to see someone pull out me tubes. But yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm good. The only thing is that my son, he saw the Band-Aid, and now he tells everyone that daddy had bleed on his balls. I'm like, oh Jesus, okay.
Kids say the dance.
And I've got my back, literally this morning, my back is strapped, and it's I actually wanted Lou to put hashtag wide load on it with a Nico, but she wouldn't do it. But yeah, he's like, oh, Daddy's got a big Band-Aid on his back for his balls. I'm like, oh my God, no, my back is sore now. But no, it's fine, it works, we're all good. It's a little bit, like little BJ, when you're in that situation, it just fucking turtles up, eh? It's just
yeah,
just disappears.
Instant nervous cock, eh?
And you didn't tell me that they tape your cock to your fucking stomach.
I didn't have that.
Oh, he taped it. He probably didn't want me to fucking bar off on him or something like that. He's like, I don't want to fucking look at that thing.
No, I didn't have that. And
maybe you just covered it up. It looked like a fucking mummy. And because it was all numb, I fucking didn't even know until I got home, and I looked in the mirror. I was trying to look at it, and I was like, what the fuck is my dick looks like a mummy. It's all wrapped up. Pulling it off was a fuck.
Remember on Jackass? When
the mouse?
Was it?
He wrapped it up like a mouse.
To put it in the snake thing?
Yeah. Yeah, it was bizarre. At least I only have to, hopefully I only have to get it done once. But I have to wait 3 months to go back and get it tested.
Yeah, I never got it tested.
Didn't you?
Nah, just been winging it ever since.
I think there's no point in me getting it done if I'm not going to go and make sure that I'm not fucking shooting.
I know.
Sharp arrows.
We have a comment here from Sam Gunn. So he said, when mowing a lawn across the road from another contractor, how much do you puff out your chest? He said he doesn't really have a serious question, but this is worth bringing up. It is, do you ever react, or is it like a g'day thing, or, we're not really in the residential game.
No, so. But when I was, it was always oh, how you going? I've fucking always been one to give a little shaka or a little fucking salute or something like that.
I think I was always the dude who was whatevs.
Yeah, I love chat, so most of the time I'll speak to them. There's been some arrogant fucking people though that I've come across, and I'm like, hey, g'day mate, and even at the servo, oh, hey bud, how you going? Literally filling up across from another fucking, and you just turn around and you go, well, fuck me then, eh?
Yeah, I think it is a body language thing too,
so I shouldn't pull my cock out on it?
No, what I mean is you can tell if someone's mad dogging you, what I mean? If you can, even if you are across the road mowing from a contractor or next door or whatever, you can kind of tell if they're blowing you off or, so I guess my response would be I'd probably react to their body language. Yeah. But generally speaking...
stand is a good way to puff up though.
Yeah, look at me, I'll throw your cash probably at your face, you dog. Travis Savage, best way to make first contact with a retirement village. He says email front office, make a phone call. So this is obviously something I've had plenty of experience with. Now, Travis, honestly, I was one of those people when I was trying to make contact with my villagers. Like I've said it before, I was an absolute pest.
Yeah.
So phone calls, emails, just rocking up, like I did the whole gig.
Yeah.
So I think the best way realistically to do it is to probably have some sort of email introduction, and that way I think that's the best way to make your first point of contact, because they have the information there in front of them. Now, you'll probably experience that, you know, someone that they might not even open the email.
Yeah.
But what it means is that when you do call them, which is probably your second point of contact, you've got something to refer them to.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then I think meeting with them is just another step in that process, which is probably your third point. Now, you can always, you know, just rock into a village and, you know, that can be your first point. And I think that that's fine as well. But always having a presentation or an introduction or something, at least once you make that physical contact, they've always got something to refer to.
Yeah. I'm a little bit different. I head straight for the phone, and look, Google is your friend. You put in retirement villages, you're going to get fucking 30 or 40 retirement villages in your area. And I go through them one by one. Actually, because I was laid up yesterday, like I'm supposed to be resting now, but I probably rang about 12 or 13, just randomly, and I just thought, oh, may as well have a run at a few of these. Not really local, because there's a myth with work, it has to be always local. I think with retirement villages, if you have to drive for 20, 25, 30, 40 minutes, you're there all day, and it's, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. So I go a little bit out of where I would for residential, and realistically I just call, and that's the way I find you get a more appropriate email, because not many of them list a manager's email now on their website or, you know, in their information. You normally get a sales representative, but sometimes a sales representative is actually the manager as well. So they're normally my first point of contact, and I'll try and get an email to the manager if they're not the manager. So yesterday, just for instance, I probably did about 12, and I have 4 new emails, and like, look, I left a couple of messages and things like that. One of the things I do, because I'm really like, I don't know, my concentration is shit. So I'll have a book in front of me, and I'll have the numbers I've called and who it's for on one side, and I'll have like a few points of my business on the other. So I can be like, all right, this is my fucking spiel, and have like a little, oh, hey, it's BJ from TVL Pressman. Like I'll have like a little thing for them already lined up, and I'll say like, I'm certified in this, and we do this, and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's a really good way, even if like the sales manager's doesn't really care, like she'll pass on your information, or she'll give you information to move forward with that place.
And I think a really good heads up is if you have a hard copy of your presentation or introduction or whatever it is, if you have a hard copy and you physically go and deliver that, I also think that is just like, it just shows the person,
yeah,
you know, and it gives them, look, 9 times out of 10 they can't hire someone without the approval of a committee and a proper meeting. Like it's not just, hey, I'm gonna roll in and like, hey, yeah, you know, we like the look of you and we like this. There is a big process. So,
and don't be afraid to approach new builds as well, because the most success I had yesterday was actually with retirement villages that haven't even been built yet.
Yeah. So just quickly on that, a lot of, I'm not saying this is the way that it goes necessarily, but a lot of the new villages, the way that it's set up is that the landscape company that is actually installing the garden beds, they actually have the maintenance usually for like say 6 or 12 months as a clause.
Yeah.
And so, and it's not particularly their business, but they just got to make sure plants survive. And, you know, when the new gardens go in, especially these days, because villages are not planted out the way that they used to be.
No.
You got all these fucking native grasses and whack shit.
You see a lot of apartments and stuff now, so it's a different kind of gardening altogether.
It is. It's not like the villages that we are used to, where you got literally 12 acres with 20,000 hedges.
2 yesterday I rang from the same company, mind you. One was at like Bethania and one was somewhere else. And they both had AstroTurf everywhere. I'm like, ew, what the fuck?
Yeah,
There weren't apartments either. I was like, what, so you have concrete and then AstroTurf? And she's like, yeah. So that's fucking depressing.
Yeah, so, all right, moving on. So, Christopher Wharton, we've got, what are some of the biggest challenges you've had in your lawn care business, BJ, and how have you overcome them? Same question for Cash Pro. Start with you, Beej. What do you think, mate?
I think the biggest challenges I've had is number one is motivation. When I first started, my motivation was fucking useless. I had a decent amount of capital when I started and I didn't push as hard as I should have, and when that capital started to dwindle, like, I think that was the only time when I actually pulled my finger out and said, oh my god, I can actually make a business out of this and make some money. The other thing is cash flow. Again, back a bit, we just had terrible payers. Terrible paying customers. It's just no good for cash flow. Like, it just makes you depressed and you're like, what the fuck, what's the point in doing this? Like, I'm not getting paid. And I think that comes as the business ages, or either that or you put the right processes in when you start. So yeah, they're the two biggest ones for me. And motivation is just a mindset thing, and also it's like anything, like losing weight, or, you know, once you see results, you start to really push. And look, a lot of the motivation I have comes from the extracurricular activities I do, like this and LMCA. Smoking weed, doing heroin. But no, it really is like it's a mindset thing. But the money thing, that all came with a better customer base.
Yeah, so look, for me with Greenscapes, it's weird. It's really actually the opposite. I think the biggest challenge that I always had to overcome was being not ever being content or satisfied. Like, I'm the type of person, like, I can do, like, if I, you know, have, 1,000 pieces of plastic to unwrap or something, like, I can sit there and I can take that challenge and I can finish it.
Yeah. Like,
in my lawn mowing business, you know, like, I would set goals to say, okay, I want, you know, however many residentials or whatever the case may be. And, like, I did it for a while and then I was just like, man, I want something else. So then I was really going hard in industrial warehouse properties and stuff like that. You know, and I picked up a few and then I'm like, fuck, I want another one. Then, like, when I got my first village, it, like, stressed me out a lot. And I remember thinking and just saying to myself all the time, like, I just want one village.
Yeah.
I want one village, and then I can just do my job and relax and not worry. And seriously, that lasted maybe almost a year, and then I was like, fuck this, I need another village.
No, I didn't even last a year.
You know, like, it just, I think that was really something that was very challenging for me, because you were just always looking for something that wasn't necessarily there.
Yeah.
Or, you know, in terms of Cash Pro, look, I think the biggest thing that I had to overcome was essentially getting a whole country to buy in on, you know, the latest stuff, because really, like, and I can say this honestly, you know, the stuff that we're selling, you know, you can do without. Like, you can do the job without it, realistically. But what we're trying to really sell is, hey, let's do things smarter, let's do things more efficiently. Yes, it's going to cost you, but this is where you're going to, you know, everything from, not that we sell stand-on mowers, but the stand-on mower concept,
Yeah.
to the battery concept, to a grass catcher, to different blades. They're just everyday challenges that we will constantly face. So, yeah.
Very good.
Mick Carroll, what's he got here? All right, we'll skip that one. I think he might have a contribution later on that we might get to. So, Brent Davies, this is a part one. Is there a specific time of year that villages or strata companies will look for new contractors? Now, I'll say you're virtually looking at the end of each quarter is usually when they have, committee meetings.
Yeah, but you never know which quarter.
Well, they usually do keep it on the quarters.
Oh, I mean, from body corp to body corp.
Yeah. No, so look, so realistically, I don't think there is any specific time. But usually, yeah, they will have quarterly meetings.
Yeah.
And look, sometimes they can only hire once annually.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more tricky. Is there any websites available to let contractors know about up and coming tenders? Yes, there is. Now, there is probably 4 or 5 different tender websites. Look, they are for much bigger companies than, your 1s, 2s, 3s or 4s. You know what I mean? Like, even for me at my biggest point, when I say I had 4 workers and maybe 1 or 2 floaters, even still, realistically, the tenders were huge.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like anymore.
I haven't even bothered with them.
I don't know what it's like anymore because I used to, every night I was, scoping these things out. But one of the, or 2 of the websites, they would actually preview the previous top 10 tenders that had just closed and the 10 latest.
Yeah.
And you could preview them for free. Otherwise, you have to sign up and be pretty damn committed.
It's like $1,200 or $1,300 to sign up.
It's a lot. It's not something that you go into just messing around or
But if you're willing to invest and you have like a pretty good idea of what you're doing, that can be a lucrative way to get a bit of chinger in the pocket.
Something to probably take into account is you got to have all your paperwork in check, and there's so much legal stuff.
Yeah.
It's like proper. So, and it's not just like, your public liability certificate and stuff. It's like, it's fucking full on.
Yeah,
and that was always something that deterred me. Our man Turtle. Do you want to read it?
Mr. Ben's chief smoking durry. Has any ground been broken between you and Shawcan? If no, are you thinking about manufacturing a similar item here for our market?
So, no progress has been made between Catch Pro and Shawcan. We wouldn't ever consider making something similar just because it's a heavily patented product.
Yeah.
And what the actual issue is, we can't even find how to get the Shawcan compliant. So even if you manufacture your own, you still need to have it compliant. I don't know who the governing body is. I've reached out to everyone. No one can give me a fucking answer. The only answer that I'm really getting is that we would become liable, and if a fire happened to be started or someone fucking drank the fuel, whatever the case is, we would be liable.
It's got to come down to natural selection, I think.
So, unfortunately, no progress has been made. Look, it's a product that we really want. Well, I think there is a reseller in Australia, apparently, and they don't have compliance.
Oh. So does that mean if you were using it and something went wrong, your insurance would be void? Or you would be liable, or the company?
Like if I sold it, yeah. So if someone was filling up whippersnipper and somehow, you know, there was a fire started and someone's house burnt down, I would be liable.
Yeah, okay.
So it's unfortunate. BJ, what's your thoughts on the European Sex Championships in Sweden?
They're weak as fuck. There's not an ugly person in the lineup. I think I've got it covered this year.
We have a question from Andy for both of us.
Yeah.
What makes your company better than the competition, and what's your biggest challenge that you're doing currently? So we'll start with BJ. You know, what is it that makes you better than the competition?
I don't know. I don't think there's anything that makes me better than the competition. I don't really see other...
That's okay. That's a fair answer.
I don't really see other... I don't see the competition. I think there's a fair amount of work out there. I'd say if there are companies out there, and look, we've seen it where people have followed and people undercut, that's when someone becomes competition. But yeah, I just really try and set myself apart and try and talk the talk. I guess.
I've
just
always
be confident in what you're selling, and I think that maybe what sets us apart sometimes.
I think I'd always had said it, you know, like when we ran Greenscapes, is that, and it is my advice too to other mowing contractors, like just stop worrying about everyone else.
Yeah.
Seriously, like it's just not worth it. You know, we are kind of similar in Catch Pro as well, whether it be, you know, Green Touch or anyone else who's doing something similar to what we're doing. We're sort of just a lot more focused on what we're doing.
Yeah.
In regards to Catch Pro with this question, what sets us apart is we are really trying to be there for the contractor market and also all of our customers. But, you know, so many people email in, they'll actually be like, hey Ben or Vicky or g'day team or whatever, and it's very much that type of environment. And you know, look, if you're talking about blades or trimmer heads or something, you know, people say, hey, what am I getting that I can't get anywhere else? And realistically, in terms of the products, like we've broken down blades. Yes, we have some differences, but a brand new blade is a brand new blade. Like it's going to perform really well.
That's it.
You know, trimmer head, it's, you know, pretty much there's not really any gimmicks there. It's what you can get everywhere else. But where we're going to beat everyone is we're going to ship it as fast as we can. We're going to be there to support you, and we're going to have, you know, stock on hand.
Yeah.
Now that's not a promise, as it can't happen all the time, but that's where we're really trying to be different to everyone else, is to essentially just be there for people.
That's what I think that's what's been lacking in other online stores, and I think that's where you have stepped forward and been really, you know, prominent in, like, that fast delivery makes all the difference to someone who's got some fucking shabby blades on their mower and they want them like for the end of the week. And I think, like Will's the same, like fast shipping and good communication are fucking, when you're dealing with someone online, that's all you really want, and it's sold. And
here really is the truth as well, that not everyone can really recognize how many other online, you know, businesses put themselves out there on Instagram and social media.
That's it.
Putting themselves out there doing a public podcast.
Yeah.
What people probably don't understand is, let's say Ben Van de Giesen from Catch Pro, I'm exposing myself in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Like, you got these other dudes like Ando the Mando who will preach all this fucking bullshit and he won't even be a guest on someone else's podcast.
Yeah.
And it's fucking rat shit. So I think what is, and I don't have a problem mentioning his name, by the way.
Yeah.
So, but you know what I mean? Like, all of the other, whether they're influencers or online businesses and stuff like that, you are exposing yourself so much by putting yourself out there, and it shows that you're an open book.
That's it. That's what people want to be. You know, people want to use the businesses that they can relate to, and obviously you've got, you know, Greenscapes. Fuck. Ooh. Been hanging out with the kids, mate.
Are you kidding? If I ever seen a vape, I'd fucking snap their necks.
Mate, it's so ridiculous.
All right, Nathan Brown.
Nathan Brown.
Would you two be open to a WWF style tag team match against the administrator of the contractor page? If so, what would be the game plan? Do you think you would win, and what would be your names? Me and BJ are old school tag team wrestlers anyway.
I used to catch, this is probably where all of our problems came from. I used to fucking suplex Ben into pools, and I used to catch him off roofs and shit like that. We used to just do the dumbest shit.
Yeah, we used to get drunk and like go out, and we'd bring back chicks, and we'd put wrestling on.
I wasn't even like the biggest wrestling fan. Like, I was just like, yeah, it's mad, something to watch. But fuck, man. No wonder I didn't hook up until later in life.
But yeah, like honestly, to answer this question, yeah, we would fuck up Jared Summer and Anthony Moore.
Oh yeah.
So
I'd hold Jared down and pash him.
I'd hold Anthony down and finger him.
Oh yes. Let me smell your fingers.
All right.
What would our name be though?
I don't know about names. There's a couple. Why are you laughing?
Because I looked straight at your nose. I was like, we got to incorporate ski jump into it. And I was straight up thinking like I was going to be like the blimp or something.
Right, we had a vape.
That's how it gets the kids, mate. You got the popcorn.
All right, moving on.
Fuck.
So, what's the most hairiest confrontation? I can't really say that, confrontation you've had with someone that's linked to the business. Examples: raging neighbour, irate customers, road rage. So this
You've had so many.
Yeah, I've had a lot. Yeah, like how are you travelling with this?
Not too bad.
You're not very confrontational.
I don't think people like to have confrontations with me. I have had a husband and wife, like one on each side. Like I think I mentioned it in the last podcast. They were like tag team yelling at me, and I was just like, "Screw you guys, I'm getting ham." And like I don't like to. So I have like this thing, and if I get over a certain rage point, I turn, like, I'm not the Hulk, I'm gonna fucking throw shit, but I can't come down, and I get really angry, and I don't like getting that far because then I say shit that probably no human should say to another human. So yeah, I don't really, I kind of like to diffuse. I've had some pretty crazy shit said to me. Like there's this one guy who's in a village, and like this guy said, "Hey, when are you going to lose some weight?" And on another occasion, it was like, "Hey, when are you going to get your teeth fixed?" And I was just like, "What the fuck are you talking about, man?" He's like in his 70s, like.
Oh, it's still cracking.
I wanted to fucking pick him up by his little stick legs and just fucking and just throw him in a bin. But no, the biggest one was the husband and wife team. Just like after 18 months, they were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "The same thing I've been doing the last 18 months, you fucking idiots." See
me, I'm more the type of person that I love to get under your skin, and I just love watching people lose their shit. Well, and just watching the rage in their eyes.
You got me in to fucking come with you with that smacky. Like the dude was ready to fucking eat you alive. Neck Rennet guy.
Yeah.
And then I came out and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, no, like I just don't like the dust." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, fucking cool story." And he just went back to his house.
But man, I've seriously, I've had tons of run-ins, eh? Like I remember one time I was mowing at this block of units, and I could hear one of my workers, like, I could just hear the whippersnipper just revving off its tits. And I knew that it wasn't being used in any grass. Like, you know how you can just tell?
Yeah.
You know? And then I could briefly hear some screaming, and I just, like, kind of walked around the corner, and this dude was just, like, He's like, fuck off, I'm trying to sleep. And one of my workers, just had the whipstick rubbing me out. Just fucking yeah. It was like 12 o'clock in the day.
Yeah. Did you get a bonus?
I just walked around there and was like, what the fuck is going on here?
I think the best one is the one you caught on film.
Yeah, I got one on film and I've never shared it in LMCA, but I
think you have.
No, I don't think I shared it there. I can't remember. But look, I had a series of residential places that I would do, and funny enough, I used to actually get there at 5 o'clock in the morning. This particular day, it was 7 o'clock, and I started hedge trimming. This is before battery equipment, so I'm just full cut and loose with the pole hedger, and I see someone near my truck trying to get the number plates or something. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And when I walked out, I got my camera out, I was like, oi, what's up? And he's like, he was a truckie, and he's like, I'm fucking trying to sleep in me truck, and you're revving the cunt. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And my first response to him was, it's fucking 7 o'clock, dipshit. And we went back and forth. There's a truck stop down the road, like a professional truck stop. He's just parked on the side of the road. And he started getting, I was getting underneath his skin. He's like, oh, is this for fucking Facebook, whatever? And I was like, nah, it's for the cops, you dumb cunt. And he got out of his car and started swinging at me.
Yeah.
And he actually hits, because I'm trying to film and back up at the same time, he actually does hit my hat off my head. Anyway, he was all talk, he fucking got back in his truck. But that's
probably one of the funniest ones I've seen.
Yeah, so in terms of Catch Pro, look, everyone knows the run-ins that I've had with the professional page, and it's realistic, mostly it's just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
But, I don't have any issues provoking that stuff. So moving on, Andrew, if cost to establish wasn't an issue, what is the one revenue stream you would add to your business? That's really cool. That might have caught us off guard a little bit. Can you think of anything that comes to mind?
I would probably invest in myself, and I would get trained up in a few different things. So retic work, I'd probably try and get a bit of experience doing that sort of stuff. I'd probably do the whole bobcat thing. I don't think you have to get a license for a bobcat under a certain size, but I'd like to get a big one. So these big mulch jobs, I can just make the $200 an hour or whatever they want to charge. I think $180 an hour. I think is normal. So
look, I think. If I'm talking about me back in Greenscapes, because I had some wild ideas, I think if revenue wasn't an issue, I had some ideas about maybe incorporating pest control.
Yeah.
And actually having a separate division, but I think more than likely, probably what I would have really loved, and revenue, even if money wasn't an issue, I think the issue would have been here that I probably just am not as naturally gifted as what I thought I would be, but I would have really loved to have moved into landscaping.
Yeah.
On wide scale, and I'm not, so I would have really loved to have been able to set up a team and been able to go in, rip someone's garden apart, pave an area, build a retaining wall.
Yeah.
We used to do all of that stuff with Shorey all the time. It's just I was the labourer.
Yeah.
I was the dude that was moving all the pavers, and I could get with the technical stuff to some point, but all the building and the refining stuff, that is what makes you qualified, I didn't really have.
Yeah, okay.
So
nice. Yeah, so both of us, we would like to progress our skill set. Not so much equipment, but
yeah.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Cool. Humongous is back. Also, for research purposes, do you think we could all fit in the same foreskin on a 3-way docking session? And should we record it for marketing? Hashtag DocPro.
Well, I don't really know how big your foreskin is, but I can almost guarantee that I'll fit in there.
Yeah. I reckon my foreskin's so big I could fit you all in there. We could probably even have someone else come on.
I'm circumcised and sometimes I still have foreskin. Nah, I don't actually. But, alright.
That's a good one.
Prez, oh no, what's going on here? Alright, Prez Madley, who has the softer hands? that's definitely
That's
BJ.
me, yeah.
These hands, my hands are fucked.
Yeah. Working with aluminium and shit. And
No.
Never wearing sunblock.
Well, who puts fucking sun cream on their hands?
I'll put it on the back.
Oh man, real?
Yeah, look at me. I'm fucking white. Look, I've been in the sun for like 10 years and I'm still the whitest dude you know.
I actually do Catch Pro videos and then scrap them because my hands look so feral. They're just disgusting hands.
They're so dry, they look like they're covered in cum. But then you're like, fuck,
like an old load.
Yeah, like an old dried up crust burger.
Oh, God. Look, I still think dudes would probably appreciate my hands to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I'm looking
at him thinking, fuck, man, my dick would be in tatters after it was in those sets.
Anyway, we won't go on about that. But no, BJ has good hands.
Yeah, I got nice hands.
I'm just having a look at the GIF. Oh, is that from you,
Yeah, it's from me.
Oh, boy.
I commented on.
Okay, Ali says, do you prefer working as a sole trader or hiring staff? If hiring staff, at what point did you look at the profitability of it? So we always operated as a sole trader. I think Ali probably means a solo operator rather than a sole trader or hiring staff.
Yeah.
Look, I went through so many phases in my business. I enjoyed working as a solo just because if I had I remember at one point in my business and I think it was when Vicky was working, like before we had children, I really loved just getting home and having like 2 or 3 hours to myself to just decompress, like just, you know, essentially do whatever. And so what it meant for me was when I was solo at that point, I could kind of like get up and go early. I could work as fast as I wanted to. You know, I love all those things about being a solo operator. Hiring staff though, really, I think, you know, obviously there's the challenges, but for me, it was like the camaraderie with, you know, like I remember as a solo operator, especially when I was doing body corporates, like I wouldn't actually talk all day because back then it's not like you were gas bagging on the phone to everyone like I am now.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, and like if I packed a lunch and I just eat in my car, like, and at the unit complexes, it's not like you know, would really see me. Like I wouldn't talk.
Retirement homes are different to unit complexes. Unit complex normally like most
like
people
everyone goes to work at 7 o'clock, you know.
Something like that. And it's a bit of a lonely road, the solo. Some people really thrive on it though. Like, you know, I got to a point where I was doing pretty good, but I didn't think that I would love having staff as much as I do. It's kind of like,
I'm going to say one thing. Sorry to cut you off. But what I think, this was the perfect situation for me. Hiring people, like let's say 2 people, and they're a team, and then yourself as the business owner, you can work with them when you want, and then you can go out and do your solo stuff, you know, and float around. And I think that's what BJ...
That's exactly how I roll.
And what it means is that you don't necessarily... Like, what was really tiring when you're hiring people is you have to be up and ready for that worker in the morning, because if you fuck up as a boss, it sets a horrible example.
Yeah.
Really, you have to, work until 3 o'clock, or at least an appropriate time. It's not like you can just knock off at 1 o'clock and send your workers home because it's done as fuck. All of that stuff becomes very draining after a while.
Yeah.
So having a team that you employ to essentially just do the standard 40 hours and, be zombies, I think that, but then you have the ability to get amongst a team environment, motivate, chat, banter.
Yeah.
But you can also zone out, whether it's mowing an acreage, trimming a hedge, you can sort of float around.
Yeah.
I think that was the ultimate situation for me that I really loved.
Yeah, and I totally agree. That's how I run. I have let myself down a little bit because I haven't got as much work banked as I thought I did, but it's winter, so it ebbs and flows. Like, obviously during summer I'm fucking just running all the time, but because I do like acreages and the 40 acres, they've all gone back to monthly. Like, I've got spare days and I'm like, fuck, like I feel like I'm not being productive, but then as long as I jump on the phone and going through, just making contact, like obviously I'm doing other stuff like the event, organising the event. Guys, if you're going to organise an event, especially if you're going to do it by yourself, god damn, it's fucking crazy. Like, it's a lot of work. I hope it all comes together when we don't all end up having to shit behind trees.
Sorry, I
forget the fucking porta potties or something. Everybody's just pissing on the fucking same tree. And, no, but look, it's one of those things, like how Ben said it is how I run, and I've got a really good, reliable team. They like to make money and I like to pay them. And I kind of like the idea of looking after someone else's family as well as mine.
I hate that idea.
It's a lot of pressure, don't get me wrong, but I think it's nice, like, yeah, I don't know. I like it.
I mean, the situation I'm in with Catch Pro now, and I said it probably recently, like, I am not looking to hire anyone.
Yeah. I think because my first job that I was in for like 11 years, it was fucked. And like, they used to preach all these family values and stuff like that. And there was no family values. It was just a big fucking company who didn't mind turning over staff. Like, all the shit ones would roll through and all the pressure would be put on the good ones that stay. And like, obviously at the time I needed a job, and like, this in my mind was like, oh, this is it. This is like a good job. And I had no idea, because all of my friends were in apprenticeships. Like, you were mowing lawns, all my pals were in apprenticeships, so my wages like were kind of balanced. And then like they just kept progressing, and those companies, they just don't let you get too far. They fucking drag you back down, and if you don't suck on that corporate dick, then you kind of just stay where you are. Like, you really have to suck some dick to get anywhere in those places.
And that's why I'm so successful.
Yeah. He might not have soft hands, but he's got the softest lips.
Okay, Tim Samuel. Pros and cons to running a good debt business versus running debt-free business. Well, we'll just weigh up a couple here because I'm in shitloads of debt.
I'm not too bad. Like, I've got my truck, my mowers, and my house, and my couch.
So, look, I think the pros, obviously, to running a good debt business is that, that you're usually, if that's the case, you're probably equipped to really take on any new business that can come forward. So, I mean, I remember when we both got our Skags. You got your Tiger Cat, I got a V-Ride. We didn't necessarily have the work to support that, and we actively went out, and I managed to score the 40 acres, which, realistically, those machines are probably a little bit too small for it, but we made it work.
Yeah, we made it work.
I think that is definitely the pros to having a good debt business. If you're financing stuff, you're equipped, you're ready to roll. what is really bad about that is that if you're not proactive at all, you're going to go belly up.
Yeah.
You know, like if you go out and overspend and get like the maddest trailer ever, and you're really not fully capitalizing on it. Same thing, like if you go and get, you know, a really crazy truck like what BJ has or what have you, you know, that's when, like if you're not being productive and proactive, that's when that's a really bad situation.
Yeah.
It'd be like in Catch Pro, you know, if I went and got $100,000 loan and bought X amount of grass catchers for the year, if we weren't, you know, actively selling them, that's obviously terrible. You know, look, I think a debt-free business is positive.
Yeah,
it's good.
That's an ultimate goal. Like that's really, you know, you obviously sometimes you can't get away from debt. And look, like realistically with the finance options now, like I think if you have an opportunity to do something and you can justify the debt, it's manageable debt, and this is going to be in the long run beneficial and financially beneficial to you and for your business as well. I think investing in a bit of debt is okay.
There's cons to a debt-free business. Like, first of all, your tax write-offs. Like, you're going to pay shitloads of tax. I also think if you do come across an opportunity where, let's say, you need to get a machine in a hurry, you know, if you don't have a track record of good finance, it doesn't really matter how much you earn and everything like that. You sort of need to have a track record. Like I know Vicky's sister and my brother-in-law, they're a bit younger than us. They saved their money, they bought their cars outright, they weren't on phone plans, you know, all of this stuff. And when they went to buy a house, they literally couldn't. Like, they had a deposit, everything, but they just had no financial history at all. There was nothing that they could say that they have paid off. So, you know, that's definitely a con. Look, I think most debt-free businesses are people that they're mostly businesses that are a smaller operation. And maybe either at the beginning or the end of those careers. I don't think that they would be in that middle stage of either growth or whatever. They're usually businesses that are pretty self-sustainable. You know, they're not investing in anything. They've got enough work. They can pay their bills. So it's obviously great having a debt-free business, but there's cons to it. Anything to build on that?
No, look, you've pretty much nailed it. Look, we have a little bit of debt. It's manageable debt, especially in this current time. Like, I probably wouldn't be investing in a huge amount more. I think watching the interest rates rise over the last couple of months.
Oh, don't say it.
Yeah, fuck. It's it's a bit weird that to think like, oh, maybe I could, you know, get another 2 or 3 mowers in the next 6 months, and you know, that was my plan. Like, I was going to try and expand and get a few extra mowers and do a few extra new things. But you know, I think it's time to pull back and just see what the economy does, because like we're not on a variable rate yet. We're still licking that 2.1% or 2.3% home loan fucking repayment thing, interest rate, and when that comes off, we'll have to reassess.
BJ's got to get back on the dick when that.
Fuck, I'll go on OnlyFans for reals. I'll start fucking cutting me toenails on OnlyFans or something if I can reach them.
Okay, Shannon Wall, what's the best in-house joke you have with the boys? Now, I'm going to read his in-house joke because I kind of had like a good lol at that. And it was maybe something similar. It wasn't something that I necessarily did with the boys, but it was like always something that I did with myself. Goes on to say, hot or not, you get a call for a new quote or a job, and we would judge if she was hot or not by the phone call and then rock up to the quote. and go from there. I think, I don't know, is that just a dude thing?
I think so.
Like, I always...
Even with dudes, though, like, if you hear a dude, like, with a really, like, nice accent, and then you're like, I wonder if this is, like, a hot couple.
Like, J'adore, I want you to come
yeah,
and
like, oh, is this
on.
yeah, or you get their name, and you're like, fuck, I wonder, like, this might be a power couple, and it's for an acreage or something like that, and you're like, I wonder what they look like. It's just one of those things. I think everybody's curious when you haven't seen someone face to face and you've had contact with them. You're like, I wonder what they look like. But
anyone who's sexually frustrated goes through this.
But I jump on Facebook and Instagram, try and stalk them straight away to find out, like, you know, what they're like anyway. Not because I want to see what they look like. I want to see, like, snaps of the phone, snaps of the house, and I jump on realestate.com, go on that. But nah.
I always remember
when it's probably what everyone does.
When I used to roll around with Tyson. So Tyson from EPMS.
He's the fucking hottest man I know.
He's like, he's a couple years older than me. So like when we were rolling around together, I might have been like early 20s.
He looks about 20 years younger than both of us.
Yeah, like he's looking real good. But I remember like we would get calls from, you know, say you're middle-aged, you know, mid-30s, maybe up to 40-year-olds or whatever. And I remember, like, if it was me, like, I'd rock up and, you know, you could tell that these women were just like, who's this fucking little punk, little kid fucking, you know? And I just remember, like, they would just love Tyson, eh? Like, he could just roll in there and they'd be like, oh, hey, how you going, you know? Like, and it was because of that age. Yeah. Now... What's unfortunate is I'm actually at that age now, but I still don't. I'm not really in that world. But
the only thing I've ever like was weird was I went to one place and this guy was a barber, and his missus didn't work. And one day I was like doing the hedges, and her and her friend were just blind in the pool, and like they were a bit haggard, but they were just like. Jump in, Mr. Mower Man. And like, as soon as she spoke, I was like, bleh. Like just, bleh. I was like,
as soon as she spoke, it's like, yeah, I've instantly got a chance here.
Yeah, it went from 0 to hero in fucking one sentence.
Look, I have, you know, me and Rusty especially, we just had tons of in-house jokes.
I can only imagine Rusty.
I just don't know that the examples are really like that funny because it's just like
appropriate.
It's just well, it's certainly not appropriate, but it's just dumb shit. But I do remember one thing that was always funny was one of the managers at the village was he was
South African, wasn't he?
No, Ash. What's Ash?
Egyptian.
He's Egyptian, but he was French. And the French part didn't really come into the equation at all. But he was just one of those dudes, like, he was fucking staunch.
He was so big.
He had, like, death in his eyes, like...
it's like he'd been in fucking war.
If anybody...
Shell-shocked.
If anybody ever remembered one of the TV series, one of the Underbellies, one of, like, the full crazy wog dudes who would just, like, fucking waste anyone.
His eyes are just like...
And he'd wear the see-through shirts.
Yeah.
That's what this dude reminded me of. And I remember... and he was really upfront business-wise, too. And... You know, our joke was always like, "Oh, is this dude gonna bash us?" Like, calling to his eyes, like, "You fucking little garden fuck boy, you fucked up, you fucking true." And that was always sort of like a little in-house. And then anyway, as we sort of got to know this dude, he was the type of dude where you would say "G'day," and he just wouldn't even acknowledge you.
Yeah.
But one day. He called Rusty brother.
Oh.
And Rusty's like, "Wait, Ash called me brother." Like he actually went like, "Hello, brother."
That's so good.
And
he would have been so shocked.
It's not that entertaining. Okay, we got Mark Ladaway. Benny, can you describe Nola? What she looks like, what age, and any kind of features that would easily identify her? I've just come across a Nola in the last 6 months that could be her from the stories that you've told. Well, let me tell you, Mark. Nola what's the best way to describe her? She's getting pretty on these days, so she's pretty old. I don't think she has teeth. She's got falsies, but I do believe I've seen her without them.
Fuck yeah.
But she is your... It's funny, this is another actual reference to Underbelly, but remember Roberta?
Yeah.
Like, I'll kiss my fucking toe jam, Carl. Or, you know, she'd be that type of chick, you'd be like, get over here and lick my fucking wood.
Oh, like
That's
that chick.
fucking
Remember the recording? Remember that number we used to call when we were younger?
Oh,
And
lick
like-
your dick, suck your toes.
Yeah, no, lick your dick, suck your cock. I don't do anal, but you can put a finger in if you like.
Bring a friend, bring two friends. In the spa.
Fuck, that was the best. She was like,
Was that a G up or was that real?
no, that was a legit, like, but it was like a number that was not in use anymore, but this was this chick's fucking...
Yeah, it was like a call
her
girl.
Call girl, yeah. Fuck, we had some good times with that.
No, but Nola, she is your classic. Do you remember, this is sidebar just for you, BJ.
Yeah.
Do you remember, was it Demelza or someone? She was like Raymond Gray's down the skate park, like...
Oh, no.
Okay,
No.
she was, oh man, she was a fucking bush scrubber. But yeah, this is, Nola would be your typical, she's a nice person, it's just she's fucking maggot all the time. Like, and
I'm glad.
she was like, she came into money, like she inherited shitloads of money, and it just sort of shows you like the type of person that you can turn into, like when you don't actually make your money, when you're just a fucking bum that you come into it. And yeah, like she was just wasted all the time, eh, with the critters.
Oh, the critters.
Oh, do you shave your arms, Ben? Are you a puffy?
Oh,
Fucking
no
Nola.
filter Nola.
Okay, Patrick. What if you go to a quote and the block looks normal and everything?
The bloke looks normal.
Oh, jeez. Do you want to take it from here?
The bloke looks normal and everything, and the price is right, but when they take their sunnies off, they have vertical pupils, and when they say goodbye, their tongue is like a snake's, and is really sad about the queen dying. Do you charge more for the reptilian/humanoids to compensate for all the crystals you go through, or just run the risk of dealing with them?
So,
Really stumped with this one, guys.
just, no, not me. When I was in the residential game, if I happened to think that they were like a drug addict or any sort of shady person or anything like that, or a fucking weirdo, yeah, or just a weirdo, like real spiritual or anything that just... I don't really have an issue saying this, but I'm just going to say like normal.
Yeah.
You know, like people these days are like, oh, you can't say that, but I just don't give a fuck, right? But no, I mean, like if, you know, and that would just still even be like...
Don't make me mad on my crystal butt plug before that. From the chakras.
Because it's just not worth the money. Like, it's just not worth the money.
You know,
so
sometimes it's worth the story.
I'm assuming that this was probably like a little bit of a banter question, but, and I'm sorry to fuck it up by making it all serious. But like, if it was going to be a fuck around, man, I'll just, you know, I'll tell you, one day we went, we were doing an acreage, and it was a guy, he owned a chain of service stations in my local area. Pretty good guy. He had a half-acre property, and at the time, we scored it for $50 a week. Now, I know what you're saying about, this is like 15 years ago, right? When I first got a zero turn. And, you know, the type of people that were renting the house was always a little bit, you know. And these people moved in, and man, me and this dude, my offsider, we like rocked in. And these dudes were like 8 foot deep in a fucking hole in the yard. And this thing was like 3 graves, like big. And we're like, I just rocked in and I was like, oh, there's like 4 dudes. And I was like, we're just here to mow the lawn. And he's like, you think, or something? And I was just like, nah, fucking bail out. And like they were fucking burying something, like all their drugs or some shit. And the house got raided and it was all like a big fucking, but like, I was like, I don't want to lose this. I didn't want to lose the job because it was like $50 a week. You didn't even have to whip a snip every time. Yeah. You could just duck around, and that was good money back then. And ultimately I had to let it go because I thought I was going to die on the job.
That was the whole for you and your zero turn.
Yeah, like
they literally all they had to do was pull out the ramps and fucking drive you in.
Did you have anything to build on that, Pat?
No, I'm pretty much the same. Like, weirdos get a weirdo charge. I'm a pretty good judge of character. But yeah, I think weirdos, they do have a little bit of baggage, so they get a little bit of an extra charge. And if it's worth it, it's worth it. I'm pretty good. I'm non-confrontational, really. So, like Ben said earlier, I can just go with the flow. I'll listen to someone talk shit about, getting fingered by ET or something.
Boy.
If it gets me paid. It's the conversationalist. That's the one. Like, every time you're there for a half an hour conversation, it fucking takes, $60 out of your pocket.
Yeah, straight up. Tyler says, do or did either of you use scheduling software to keep track of your workload? And if so, which do you find the best? Now, I never did. No. They weren't really... I think this kind of stuff is stuff that's only really come into the mix in maybe the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. People might have been using scheduling software a long time before that, but I was just one of those old school dudes, man. Like, you hear those stories about people running their whole businesses out of a pocketbook in their top, left pocket. I was kind of a little bit like that, where I just love to be organised. I love to have everything regular and set, and it was easy for me. I know if you've got businesses that have 6-8 employees and stuff like that, then that's probably not doable, and it's not efficient or anything. But for me, even when we were hiring staff, I just never ever found it a challenge to schedule. I was just really onto it.
No, I do. I find scheduling challenging when, I don't know, it's bad. Like, I've probably got 15 customers max. So I shouldn't find scheduling a challenge, but it's because I have such big contracts and I've got this little bit, and if I take on too much, it fucks everything. So I'm all about the diary still, because I don't have that many customers. It's not worth me getting service mate. And before I went into this sort of model of business, there was no service mate and shit like that, or it was in its infancy. But I do think that they definitely have their values, especially for guys doing residential. If you can just, that sort of one touch, sort of, it's already there for you. One touch, you can send invoices and things like that. I do see that.
If we're talking strictly scheduling, it should be a relatively straightforward task.
Yeah, and look, to be honest, I couldn't do it on my phone. My phone is like a fucking vacuum for my, I'll blame my ADHD. If I get on my phone, so I tried to use Google to schedule my week, so they, would pop up and I could change things, and it's all in the palm of my hand. It is so easy. The amount of notifications I get, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll check that. And I'm just like, oh yeah, fucking, look at this reel. Look at this fucking thing.
Oh,
I get vacuumed in really bad.
And then when I do that, then it's like, oh.
It's a mad fun.
I need to go. Mate, even more to the point, not only, I had most of it in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when we had, a big business and we had 2 teams doing 15 jobs a day, I kind of just, it was just one of those things that I could get with real easy.
Yeah.
So, easy for me. In terms of what I'd recommend, mate, I can't recommend anything except for, don't worry, I won't say what I was going to say. But anyway, we have a backup question. Let me see. Not so much a question. When doing villages, when you were running residential jobs coming into winter and the grass lows, did you prefer to squeeze the regular week's mowing into a few days or keep a few days, leaving 1 or 2 days empty? So I got to be honest, I always kept everything in its summer schedule.
Yeah.
And if we had spare days, what I would essentially do is that's when I would go and chase me garden cleanups and anything to offset the lost income.
Yeah.
That's what I personally did. I never ever shrunk down my run and was like, okay, I'm going to do a mowing week and then I'm going to do a garden cleanup week. Like I feel like that would fuck with me.
Yeah. No, I basically and it was only when I was solo. So when I've had people working for me, we've always had stuff to do. This winter is probably one of the more quieter winters, and hence why I'm doing a bit of, cold calls and things like that. Not for lack of work. It's weird. I've got so many quotes in and they're huge, like they're big quotes. So when they come through, which is what, people have said, that it'll be fine, we just have to wait till the meeting. When they come through, we'll have fucking way too much work and I don't want to take on anything that I'll have to let go in like a couple of weeks. So this winter's been a tough one on the entrance, but moving forward we should be all apples. But yeah, it's, I don't know, I never really swap my schedules around because it's not worth it to me. Like I already have trouble scheduling, so if I have a schedule I kind of have to stick to it. Or it'll fucking make me even dumber.
Tim Samuel, what is the closest you've ever come to leaving your wife or her leaving you since you've been together? Biggest arguments, blow-ups, tantrums. I thought this was going to be a silly question, but I think it's serious.
Serious one.
So honestly, pal, me and Vicky don't fight. We just don't fight. Obviously every family has its challenges and it's always the kid's fault.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah.
Fuck, it is. But, we just don't take it out on each other.
No, we don't.
There will be times, I get busted. I'm a sucker for my kids, right?
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, Dad, can we have, a hot chocolate or a coffee or, something like that. And I'll be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Vicky will be like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, look, you buy the kids, fucking clothes and shoes and shit and get to, do nice things for them. I don't get to do that, And
that's
so...
really true.
But, it almost, neither of us have ever left the house.
No.
Vicky's left the house before, but it's got nothing to do with me. The kids have just fucking made her just go crazy. But I don't know, it's just kind of not in our nature. Even when we were younger and we'd get on the piss, we're both not shit on the piss.
Yeah.
We never really had, times like that.
Get out, you fucking dog.
Yeah, get out, come back here and fuck me. So... I don't know, yeah, I guess we never really had that. And I think one time I threw my kid.
Yeah.
Onto a bed.
Yeah.
When she was kind of little. And Vicky went skit.
Oh, okay.
But, I kind of just fucking lost it.
Yeah.
And I picked up one of my kids and just launched her.
Like a catapult or a fucking just get the fuck away from me onto the bed?
Yeah, I can't remember what she was actually doing or if she was just throwing a tantrum. I just picked her up and then just threw her onto a bed. And Vicky's like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, she's fucking lucky I didn't crack her.
Yeah. Like it wasn't downstairs.
But generally, mate, no. So what about y'all?
Never. We really don't fight. We've had a pretty... Life gave us some fucking rough cards to play. And I think at the start of our relationship, so Ella came along pretty quick. Like 3 months after we got together, Lou fell pregnant with Ella. We had Ella first 6.5 months of her life. We basically were hospital bound. Well, not basically, we were. She stayed in hospital. I went to work. Like our whole thing was like, we're in this together, and we saw what it did to other couples, and like it's kind of a make or break situation, and it just brought us together stronger. So we're the only ones who really understand what we went through and what we've gone through. We've done everything together, and she's my best mate. So we're really good together. We fucking hate each other's shows, which is really hard. That's probably the biggest grinding point in our relationship, is trying to find a show to watch.
It's crazy.
She likes to cry. I like sci-fi and shit like that.
Vicky loves like Australian TV shows. She's Kiwi,
like
right?
Neighbours and shit like that.
No, but like, just I don't even know what the fuck they are. But like proper TV series, but like she just really likes the Australian ones, whereas I fucking hate it. Like,
yeah,
they're just all the same, like you get these fucking actors from like fucking Play School, and like now they're
Nody Hazelhurst and shit, John Hamblin from back in our fucking Play School days.
Like, and you just get fucking sick of it. But it's funny that you mention the TV shows, because it's the same. It's the only time that we really get to like decompress and just kind of hang out together, but kind of be entertained at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, like, I have really manned up. I have fucking watched Gossip Girl.
Mm-hmm.
I have watched, I don't know what else I've watched that is,
High five to you, because I've tried. I really have tried, like. But some things I'm just like, oh god, no.
I watched The Hills.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, except I love Justin Bobby. He's a heartthrob.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nice. Like Lou just finished watching This Is Us, and I'm like, every time I see you after you watch it, you're crying. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why do you want that? I'd rather finish a show with an erection than fucking tears.
Anyway, hopefully that helps. I don't know, look.
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Look, I don't know. Vicky and I, in a sense, we kind of like grew up together.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I think she was 17 and I was 18 or something.
Where'd you meet?
Not at yours.
Yeah, didn't you guys get together at one place?
No, I think we went from yours to...
Oh, okay.
It was a party.
Alright.
But...
Close enough.
Maybe we ended up back there, I don't know.
A lot of people did.
But, what is that?
It's a fucking random dog just walked past the window.
Man. I just want to give everyone a heads up. My dogs are about to start barking their fucking hell. Because...
Is that just a fucking...
Me and BJ are in a room and we've just looked out and there's a dog.
It's just a brown and white collie fucking sheepdog just walking past. Just like, yeah, fucking there you go, mate.
My dogs are going to go fucking skits when they see that. All right. Tim Samuel goes on to ask, what's the worst business advice you've ever received? Do you have anything, Beach?
I don't know.
I think mine is in Catch Pro, and I won't go on too much about it because it's a little bit political.
It just walked the other way.
Yeah. It's a little bit political, but look, I remember when, I'll give everyone just a couple of examples, but when I first came out with the Catch Pro, obviously I was trying to get it noticed, trying to get it out there, and I was hitting up some OEMs, and one of the brands that I hit up was Bobcat, not in Australia, in America. And, they reached out and they're like, hey, can we get a sample, and, rah. And I just, I had other people in my life that were like, Ben, they're doing it to you again. They're going to take it. They don't give a fuck about you, rah. And as a result of that, I like, you know, really just pulled back and never talked to him again. And who knows, like if an OE picked up a product like mine, who knows what could have happened? You know what I mean? So I think the worst business advice that I've really had is basically, you know, in regards to Catch Pro, and just people, you know, telling me to be super protective of my products.
Okay.
You know, I had stories like there was like PLP reps taking photos of the Catch Pro because they were going to steal the design, and you know, like I was told that they were fucking poison in the industry. And when I eventually, you know, I guess it was inevitable, when I eventually hooked up with them, you know, they've been nothing but fucking awesome people.
Yeah.
Someone like Cox Mullers, Peter Jameson, right? The CEO. I've been told he's a ruthless businessman, and you know, they'll do anything to get ahead, and they've been nothing but awesome to me.
Yeah.
Just genuinely good people. So
business advice that I can't think of any. I do know that like there was a lot of doubters when I first started the business. Look, I love my mother and father-in-law, but my father-in-law had a mowing business and he folded it within a year. He was with VIP and it just wasn't for him. Yeah. I don't know how it worked back then, because this would probably be like 20, 30 years ago. He lived in the Redlands and his territory was in Sunnybank.
Yeah.
And like that's a fucking hike from the Redlands. It probably wasn't as bad then as it is now. It's probably just a straight shot now, back then. But yeah, it just I don't think that they thought we would do what we're doing with the business. I just don't remember any bad advice.
I mean, the good thing about bad advice is it helps you learn.
I mean, I got to watch you do a lot of things as well, because we've been mates for so long. I was in my other job for fucking... You were mowing and I was working for that other bunch of cunts for 11 years. And like, we were still speaking, so I'd hear some of the stories and things like that, and I could learn from your mistakes. So, yeah, bad advice. I just don't really have any bad advice, which seems weird.
Conrad has a question here. Can you invent a self-sharpening rotary bar blade that simply needs to be flipped so that when you flip it, there's a sharper edge on the bottom? Now, I guess the issue with that is the curve.
Yeah, the throw.
That's always going to be the issue, because once you flip it, it's wrong.
Yeah.
So I can't invent one, eh?
Yeah.
Do you have anything?
Nah. I'm no engineer. The Jared Summer fucking gif underneath. Dude.
Oh, that's great.
It's like me when I'm older, just fucking freaking out.
Okay, Les, any pros and cons post-company startup? I know you guys did this prior and just after switching over, but curious if you found any hidden gems you didn't know about. Also, how you guys got your first properties from being self-employed. So, any pros and cons post-company startup? So, BJ hasn't formed a company yet.
No, we actually were at the accountant on Tuesday. Today's Friday, so it wasn't that long ago, and we actually spoke with a senior accountant about turning into a company. And because we've reinvested a lot of money back into our business, our profit margin isn't like out of control or anything yet. So we are going to stick to being just sole traders for another year, and I think next year we probably will move into that company model. But if you are considering moving into a company model, I think talking to a really good accountant and knowing exactly what you're in for, because there's a lot more costs involved. Even with something as simple as your tax returns for your company, they go from say I think we paid $220 or something for a sole trader one, like a personal one, and then company goes up to like $1,200. So there's a lot more costs. You got to register with ASICs, and you have to pay their fee. Then you have to pay for your accountant and things like that, unless you are an accountant and you can do all that sort of shit yourself. But
look, I think I love the company structure. I think the only con that Vicky and I are facing is we're not. It feels like we're not paying ourselves appropriate wages, and it's obviously be conservative and pay less tax and everything. But like, yeah, we obviously had a period of expansion where it was like, fuck yeah, I want to buy something.
Yeah.
And then, you know, all of a sudden we're under this company structure and it's like, you actually have rules. So, we break them all the time. But, you know what I mean? Like, it's...
Then you have to fucking get pulled up on it and then you have to fix it.
I think that's the only thing that I'm really struggling with. In terms of the company structure, I really love it. And I think any business that's doing over... I'm going to say 150,000 a year turnover is worth looking into a company structure. I would say around that 150, 170 mark. Yeah, I think it's good. I think there's ways to capitalize and become more efficient, and ultimately,
it's basically an asset protection scheme for us.
Yeah, and look, it was. It is also a way as well to, like if something happens in that company, then, say Ben Van Giesen is not really liable, so like they can't take my house or anything. There's just lots of other, I do think once you start getting up around that 170 turnover, then it's time to have a look at it.
Yeah. We definitely will look at it in the next financial year, but
there is just a part 2 of this, how you got your first properties from being self-employed. So for me, it was a piece of piss. Like, I've had, obviously, my first ever job was being a mowing contractor, but I did have a brief period where I went and worked a year with someone and then a year with someone else at alternative times. For me, it was really easy because my old man's a real estate agent. Vicky was a property manager. I really had, I had networked. Man, I've been networking since I was fucking 17. So I had a whole network of people around me where I could immediately pick up clientele.
Yeah.
So, look, that's just my story.
I'd say find a good broker who'll tell you exactly what you need to do to become eligible to get a loan. We got in when the interest rates were really low, and I think that was good for us.
Oh, wait, are we talking about properties like clients or
I think he's talking about buying our first property. Like,
oh, dude.
Yeah.
I just retract everything.
I was wondering what the fuck you were talking about. I was like, I'll just let him go.
Oh, man, it was hard.
Sorry about that.
It was hard. I don't have any advice.
Yeah,
I don't have any advice.
Find yourself a good broker. There are ways to sort of not to falsify, but you don't. If you can afford it, you don't claim everything to make your income look bigger. Things like that.
I'm just not one to.
That sort of thing should be left to like a proper broker. Like a broker will be able to tell you exactly what you need to do to become eligible, because everyone's situation is different. Like,
you just gotta save and save and
destroy your debt. That's my only advice.
Destroy your debt.
All your debt.
Even the dumbest fucking things. Yeah. Just get it all paid off.
Yeah, like even little dog shit. Like when it comes to business expenses, like they didn't, like with my mowers and stuff like that, wasn't an issue. So
everything was an issue for me.
Oh, okay. That's unfortunate.
It was really tough. and we needed a huge deposit. So, yeah, apologies. I thought we were talking about like your first clients and stuff. Do you want to read this one, pal?
Got a couple. So this is from Christopher Kerr. What is a piece of equipment you regret buying and why? And I'll just give the other one while I'm here. What's been your biggest fuck up at work?
What piece of equipment do I regret buying? I don't know that. Actually, no, I don't know. I mean, it just seems insignificant. One time I bought a Makita 4-stroke blower, and like I was one of those customers that I like talk bad about. And I just put this thing back on the desk and was like, give us my money, eh?
Yeah.
No explanations. I was like, this thing is a fucking piece of shit. This was fucking 10 years ago. So, but mate, apart from that, like, geez, I'm not really sure I've ever really had any huge regrets on equipment.
I have got one. Look, I think it's not a regret, but it wasn't a great investment, and it was my walker. It was my first purchase of a zero turn, and I thought, I'll fucking get a direct collect walker, and it was $9,000, so it wasn't like it was $1 million spend. But
back then that was
a bit. It was $9,000. It didn't have that many hours on it, so I thought, I'd have like a decent life on this machine because it wasn't commercial. It was a resi machine. But again, it was my first, and just fucking straight away, like it came from a dealer, and it came to my guy, my local shop, and he was like, "This thing's fucked." So, and he was really good. He rang and just went into bat for me straight away, and was like, "You gotta fucking get this to where you said it was on the ad," because it came from New South Wales. And I had new parts. I still had to pay for the labour, which was fucked. Like it was still like $600 or $700 for the labour to get everything fixed on it, which takes it to a $10,000 machine. And then just slowly but surely it started to fucking die on me. Actually, not slowly, surely, quite quickly it started to fuck out. And little bits and pieces had to be fixed all the time. It was in the shop a lot.
Now, your biggest fuck up, I'll tell you one that I've done recently. I ordered like $9,000 worth of blades that I can't ever use. It's probably my biggest fuck up with Cash Pro.
Really?
Yeah, I cooked it and they're 1/4 inch too small.
No.
And I've been trying to figure out a way, but I'm just going to have to take a drink in it. So.
Oh, shit.
That's probably my first whole run of Ballard blades literally was like, I'm only going to make a portion of what I thought I would. And it was going to be like a long drawn out process anyway. So that's probably my biggest fuck up lately, in terms of, when I was at Greenscapes, there really is just too many to list, and most of them are probably my attitude towards customers, big important customers. And we sort of, did an episode, on standing your ground, and how there are positives and negatives to that. And I think standing your ground, sometimes they've been my biggest fuck ups.
Yeah.
So
my biggest fuck up would probably be, I don't know. Fuck. I guess
BJ gets to learn a lot from all of my fuck ups.
I do, and look, after Ben, because as LMCA grew, Ben was transitioning out of the business, and then I started to use that as a really good better not do that. That's it's a really good learning tool. I think LMCA really has helped a lot of people.
And also, I had other mentors in my life, say someone like Shorey. I would watch him do things, and I'd watch him overcomplicate situations that helped me to be like, I'm not going to do that when I finally got the reins. And one example was like, he just loved fucking testing the soil everywhere that we went. And there'd be a tree that was, like, kind of fucked or something. And he'd be like, oh, man, we got to test the soil. And he's like, oh, this soil is fucking contaminated or it's fucked or something. And, like, it just didn't make any sense. Like, all the other plants were fine.
Yeah.
It was at a big pub. And it was a huge contract at the time. It was like $800 a week for a day's work. And this is years and years ago, right? So it was good money for his business. It was like 6 hours of work for 2 people.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, he legitimately, like, excavated all this soil out. And it was just like a huge, big retained garden, very old, like, heritage type of garden.
Yeah.
Put all new soil in, got, like, trees craned in, like, it was the whole big deal, right? And the whole thing just went south, like, really, you know, and they must have spent like, well, I reckon they probably spent like 20 or 30 grand trying to correct this issue. And it just wasn't an issue to begin with. So, you know, it's obviously not my biggest fuck up, but I watched, like, this fuck up just unraveling in front of my eyes, and, you know, like, I was able to learn from some of that. So, don't overcomplicate shit.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I haven't made mistakes. I made a ton of mistakes. A lot of them have been to do with, like, you know, not being, you know, myself, like, just being shit on the phone and things like that, like not calling people back. Like, I haven't got the perfect business by far, but big fuck ups, like, I don't know. What about when I drove off that fucking we were fucking around on these motorbike jumps and everyone was like, yeah, and I just fucking drove straight off the side of a sheer drop in the on the Tiger Cat, and it was fairly new then, and
it was brand new.
It was brand new. I fucking got off and I was like, what have I done? And jumped back on and fucking away she goes again. So yeah.
Chris follows up here saying that he's had, like, a really crazy experience. So there's a photo of it if you want to go back to the thread. He's fell down a steep hill on his Skag, like, obviously lost traction.
Yeah.
And man, he has pulled up stumps, like, legit right before a 3-meter drop. Is that like a roof?
Yeah.
So he sort of has just said, have you had any experiences like that? Now, I have had my own experiences with drops and retaining walls where I actually did fall off, but the machine was, like, rim rocking on the side of this thing, and I went over the edge, and it was like a maybe 2-meter drop or whatever, and I was alright. But what the worst part about it was, I was by myself and I could not get the stander off this thing. Ultimately, I had to call Rusty to come help me. But something that was kind of funny that happened to me once, I used to do this corner block that was just on a very slight slope, and I'm coming down the slope, and there's this, like, it was a grevillea, and if everyone knows about grevilleas, you know how they've got, like, the low-hanging, spiky, like, branches that they're just hard to avoid. I literally was coming down, and, you know, when you do a normal zero turn, so I wasn't on a stander, I was on, this was years ago, you know, so I got my hands on the hangers, and I can literally see the sun shining through this tree, and there is a fucking huge golden orb in there. And the web is huge, man. And so I'm full lining it up to just go around it, and I just lose control, and I'm fully headed into this golden orb. You know how they just stand there like this? Like, motherfucker, come to me. And man, this thing just wrapped all around me, spot on my face.
Spider-Man.
And if anyone was watching, I was squealing like a bitch.
Yeah. I fucking hate spiders, man.
So that was just a funny little lol.
Probably my biggest fuck up was
that's not a big fuck up.
Trusting a fart on a few occasions.
It looks like we're actually at the end of the thread.
Fuck yeah.
So hope everyone enjoyed this episode. We've obviously unpacked a fair bit and got to answer some questions from some of our hardcore followers, so that was really cool.
Don't forget all of our sponsors. New kid on the block, Mole Merch, William Harford. Thank you very much for jumping on board. We have Bad Workwear. Use the code SKULL in all caps to get 10% off at the checkout. Muscle Beard Australia is the same code. If you have hair, or if you have facial hair, or if you want a tan, they sell tanning products. If you want to look good, I can get on it.
Do they have anything for girls that have like snail trails? Do they still exist?
Girls with snail trails.
Not what do you call it? Oh, runway strip.
Snail trails on the belly button.
Yeah, don't be rocking them, dudes.
Yeah.
But technically the products could work, right?
Yeah.
On a runway strip.
I don't think they have. They have like nice kits, man. I really like it, and you can get like a sample pack for $22.
They have nice kids.
Kits like. Because me, I don't fucking, like, I can't really be like, oh, go and check out their shampoo because it's fully fucking sick. Maybe you can, but...
Nah, man, I don't clean my hair.
I don't use fucking, I got no hair, so I'm fucked.
Tell you what, I should get
beard
some
wash,
from
man.
family.
Fucking lick my fucking beard. I washed it and oiled it, and now I'm going to go to the barber and get it all fucked up.
Fucking Vicky washes her hair every day.
Really?
And, like, she's always... I got a redhead, right, that has, like... hair for days, and like Vicky makes the girls wash their hair like constantly, and Macy's full broken down the other day like, no, I'm sick of it, I just want to have a shower, I just want, you know, and you know, Vicky's like proper Nazi, like, nah, fucking wash your hair, it's fucking gross. She's like, I did it yesterday.
Fuck, like, because I've got the two girls, my wife and Chloe, and just finding something about like drain hair.
Oh, man.
It fucks me up. I don't know what it is.
Sheilas can say whatever they want about dudes being gross in a bathroom. It is fucking nothing on the hair that comes from a woman.
So much. I'm jealous, like the amount of hair that...
How do they even have any still?
I'm like, holy fuck, it's everywhere. And like when you vacuum, you're like, oh, that's a lot of fucking hair. And if my missus listens to this, I know I don't vacuum that often, and I apologise, but I'm just going on what you've told me. So,
all right, now just quickly with Mole Merch, we don't actually have a code to get you a discount yet.
Just support him. Just support him while he's supporting us.
Just support him. Now there will be a spot you actually won't be able to check out unless you know, you provide an answer of where you heard about Mole Merch. So just type Skull in that section.
Yep.
When you check out the website, you know, is still in progress. They're still building out their parts list.
It's pretty good though. They're just growing their parts list.
Absolutely. Yeah. So all your consumable items, service packs, spare parts. If there's something that you need that is not listed, reach out to them. They have access to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's grow this network.
And give us the feedback. And don't forget, we're still hunting reviews. Like, the more reviews that you guys put on for us, the better we sit in the charts, and the more recognition we'll get from bigger brands, and it makes us feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside.
And before we sign out, congratulations to Gary Ashton and Aussie Lawn Stars for their approaching 100th episode.
Oh yeah.
I believe we're probably approaching our 100th episode as well.
I think this will be 95.
I don't know that if we've got any plans.
Maybe we'll finally kiss.
Every episode feels like a 100th episode for us. So, anyway, until then, I'm at Catchbro, he's at TBL, we're out of time. Thank you.
Peace.